Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is William Lawson. The Morning Report is protection of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, and fightbackmediatv.com. Trust that you are well. Today, the sun is shining and it's beautiful here in West Central Florida. Yeah, but you can't come here because we're all full up. Uh, Speaking of, you can't come here. Texas is defending its anti-illegal immigration law in court against the Biden administration, against the federal government. How insane it is that we live in a time where a state, Texas in this particular instance, is actually being sued by the federal government for protecting the United States borders. Wow. Wow. The state of Texas spent all of yesterday in court defending its anti illegal immigration law against the Biden administration, which says it's unconstitutional. It impedes international relations. How? This is the gaslighting that we get from the federal government, that somehow that Texas deciding to basically agree with the Constitution that says, yeah, we need to protect the borders, somehow is unconstitutional, and it impedes international relations. With who? With Venezuela? With China? With all the people who are coming from other countries across our southern border through Texas? And it hinders federal government's enforcement of immigration law. Well, actually, what it hinders is the federal government's lack of enforcement of immigration law. That's what it hinders. The state argued before a three-judge panel that President Joe Biden's ongoing border crisis has caused tens of thousands of illegal aliens to enter the United States, wreaking havoc on American communities and resources. Ask someone from Chicago who live in areas that have been seriously impacted. Ask people, go to a Chicago city council meeting and hear what the citizens of Chicago are saying. New York, look at what's happening in places like San Francisco. Now, this all ignores somehow the small border towns in Texas and Arizona that don't have nearly the resources that a place like Martha's Vineyard has. And when 50 illegal immigrants were dropped off at the door of Martha's Vineyard, they declared a humanitarian crisis. 50 people. Somehow they couldn't absorb or help 50 people. It was a humanitarian crisis. The state argued before, again, there's always been people who cross the border, Solicitor General Aaron Nielsen said. But before, we talked about hundreds of thousands. Now we're talking about millions. Before, we talked about a few countries. Now we talk about essentially all countries. The Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals kept Senate Bill 4 on hold after hearing from state and federal attorneys during an hour-long hearing. Senate Bill 4 would authorize law enforcement officers in the state to arrest, detain, and deport people suspected of entering the U.S. in Texas from Mexico without legal authorization. Texas all along has been doing everything within our power to encourage the federal government to do what Congress has directed and address the border crisis. And the answer that we have received at every turn is, we don't have the resources. We get that, I understand. But here, Texas has come forward with additional resources saying, let us protect the border, Nielsen continued. So when the federal government goes, we don't have the resources. Okay, cool. We'll help out. We got you. We got your back. We'll use our resources. Advocates for the bill argue that it's unconstitutional because of the federal government, not Texas, has authority over immigration. On the contrary, Texas argued that it is responsible for securing its southern border since the Biden administration has failed to uphold its duty. Representatives for the American Civil Liberties Union claim that more than 80,000 arrests a year would result if the bill went into effect. Now, 80,000, the sad part of that is that barely scratches the surface. That's the sad part. That barely scratches the surface when we're talking about millions of people. As far as I can tell, never in the history of the nation has the United States achieved what they achieved in this case, which is facial invalidation of a statute that has never went into effect with no course of action, which is an extraordinary achievement, Trump appointed Judge Andrew Oldham said. Prosecutors said that Senate Bill 4 interferes with the United States' relationship with Mexico, which has criticized the law. Of course it has, because it forces Mexico to do something. Mexico's federal government argued that the bill would criminalize illegal immigrants. Yes. Listen to me here. Did you hear what I said? Mexico's federal government argued that the bill would criminalize illegal immigrants and encourage separation of families, discrimination, and racial profiling that violate human rights of the migrant community. And I'm sure they're using these terms because the left here goes, yes, yes. It's an invasion. God bless Texas. Governor Abbott are doing what they're doing. Yes. This is what we're up against. This is why we must not get distracted with women's college basketball gives a crap and all the other stuff. If Donald Trump wants to get elected, he needs to concentrate on immigration, on illegal immigration, on the invasion. Stop with the craziness about building a wall because you don't have to. We need to start putting troops, National Guard troops, U.S. military on the southwestern border and shut it down. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Mona Report. Mona Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.